The GAA have announced a cessation of all activity, training and games until March 29th at the very least. Who knows what's going to happen, how long the coronavirus, COVID-19, how long that will continue to spread for, when it can be contained and so on. But at a minimum, it's March 29th. It all seems a little bit irrelevant, of course, considering that people are going to get sick and worse, of course. But yeah, at least that's been done, because the only real advice being given by the health experts is that social distancing is the best preventative measure. So the idea of playing matches with full crowds is obviously a brutal idea, and that's something I talked about in a video earlier this week, that you have teams from all over the country crisscrossing to play each other in league fixtures. And of course we all know the league is, at the end of the day, fairly meaningless. It's all about championships. So the idea that games would go ahead when you've got a health disaster unfolding around the world would just be incredible. So at least, even though it probably could have even been done sooner, the GAA have shown a bit of leadership here. We'd seen earlier during Thursday that Dublin and Antrim, for example, and even Meath had announced that they were going to cease all GAA activity, training and games. And even being honest, Wednesday evening I was going out for training and I was humming and hawing over whether I was going to go. Good measures were taken at training, in the sense that there was a table laid out with numbered water bottles, and there was like the table was done up in like little squares, like a chessboard, and each bottle had a number corresponding with a number on the table. So it was very much like you'd want to be a fairly idiot-proof way to make sure that people had their own water bottles. So that was something being done. But the idea of playing games behind closed doors was pure insanity as far as I was concerned, because again it comes back to the social distancing. Look at the Juventus player who played last week behind closed doors with his team. I think it was the Derby d'Italia against Inter Milan. He's got coronavirus. Who knows what the spread of that is going to be. We've seen the basketball player from the Utah Jazz made a joke the other day, just so ignorant and stupid, where he touched all the microphones of the journalists as he was getting up to leave. Turns out he has coronavirus, so what does that do for the rest of the journalists? Are some of them now exposed? The NBA season was cancelled, or certainly postponed indefinitely. Premier League going behind closed doors. Even Diego Costa, the Atletico Madrid striker, coughing at journalists, sort of jokingly, as he's going through the mixed area after the win over Liverpool. Disgusting behaviour. So did we want behind closed doors in the GAA? I mean, I'm curious to hear your opinion, but certainly I'm 100% against it, because like, it's one thing pushing professional players to go and do this, and I don't think it should happen for them, but comes back to social distancing. The more you keep people away from each other, away from the risks, the better. So what happens? Players go, and they're obviously, you can do this whole no handshakes nonsense all you want, which it's not nonsense, but if players are still going to be pulling and dragging out of each other, if they're going to be celebrating and grabbing and hugging each other, I mean, that's why I would say that the handshake stuff is kind of, it's a big fuss over nothing, when the reality is players are all going to be pulling and dragging out of each other anyway. So you've got that risk. The players are going to be in contact. Who knows, whether they've been exposed or not. I mean, we've seen the absolute travesty that is Cheltenham Festival, and even as the government and Leo Varadkar and Simon Harris, they're all making their address early during Thursday. You've got people going on about Faugheen being paraded out in Cheltenham, and like tens of thousands of people looking on, and God knows what the ramifications are going to be of that. It'll be immeasurable, but I mean, it possibly, depending on where this thing goes, could end up being one of the dumbest decisions of all time and greediest decisions of all time to push ahead with that festival. And just the way people are triumphantly tweeting from there about how, this suspends the darkness that's going on, and like, isn't race and brilliance and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it just beggars belief what's going on. So again, just coming back to the whole idea of not playing behind closed doors, it's not just players, it's like stewards, guards, journalists. I mentioned that thing with the Utah Jazz basketball player touching all the reporters' microphones. Any one of these people is potentially going to be exposed or at risk, and any person, whether it's player or otherwise, is potentially going to be carrying it. You're either a risk, or you could actually give it to a carrier. You could, so there are a couple of things that don't matter. Like, for example, if the league is gone, and in Gaelic football, There's obviously tier 1 and tier 2, and how does that work out? Who knows is the question. At the moment, who really cares? It really doesn't matter. When the world comes right, if it does, down the line we can figure out measures for doing that. I mean, that's something to be figured out at a Congress meeting, I suppose, or something to that effect. And yeah, so that's the thing. And I mean, the GAA sees all activity. That's a good thing, because you would have had club teams all around the country playing challenge matches in the next week or so, and then you're going to have inter-county teams still playing off their remaining league fixtures. There's, between both codes, there's give or take 50 games to go ahead. So yeah, social distancing, only way to go, as far as all the experts are saying. So that's definitely, it's a relief to see the GAA following suit on that front. Thanks for watching our game. Don't forget to like and share the videos, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe.